Today I'm going to show you how to draw a grid on your paper. When you do your candy project, and this is not candy, it's tomatoes, but they're kind of the same shapes and colors as candy. But you can see that there's already a grid on this picture, and your pictures in the photo album will already have a grid on them. All you have to do is put the grid on the paper. Now, when you're drawing, you'll want your picture and your paper to be both going the same direction. You don't want your picture going vertical and your paper horizontal. But just for the sake of showing you how to do the grid, I'm going to be turning the paper this way. All right, so some things you'll need is you'll need a pencil. You can use the regular wood pencil, but I like this kind of pencil for this purpose. When you make a grid, you want your lines really light. You're going to have to erase them later. So you don't want, a big, heavy, dark line. And it's kind of hard to get a really dark line with one of these pencils. Also, this pencil is always sharp. You'll also need a ruler. Now, if you don't have a ruler, you can use a piece of junk mail. This is just an envelope. I'm mailing a bill. I'm paying a bill. So I might use that envelope. You'll also need, and very important, you have to have 2 strips of paper. Just skinny, straight strips of paper. And I'm going to show you what you'll need these for in a second. All right, so because our picture, it has 4 boxes this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 boxes this way, unlike the bird, which has is a 2 by 2 grid. This is a 4 by 4 grid. Grids can get even bigger, like this 5 by 7 grid, but we don't need that many boxes. All right, so like I said, we're going to make a 4 by 4 grid. So take your first piece of paper. Now, this piece of paper is exactly the same length as the long side of my paper. And by the way, this paper is the same 9 by 12 paper that I'm always demonstrating on. If you have copy paper, that's fine. If you have a piece of notebook paper, that's fine too. It's not the best. The best thing is a piece of drawing paper, but if that's all you have, it's fine. Anyway, so you can see this first strip of paper, it's the same length as the length of the side of the paper. The paper strip has to be exactly the same size as the side of the paper. And what you're going to do to get 4 boxes down the side, you're going to take the strip of paper and you're going to fold it exactly in half. Exactly. Just be very careful, you get it exactly in half. And then kind of pinch the fold so it flattens out. You can do that with your thumbnail sometimes. It works really well. Once you've folded this in half, then you're going to fold it in half one more time. Again, as accurately as you can. And then pinch the side, the fold, and maybe even iron it with your thumbnail. Now, when you unfold this, you'll see that this is now divided into 4 exactly the same size sections, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so we're going to use this to make the marks on the paper to draw the grid. So now, because this is just a white piece of paper folded, sometimes it's hard to see. So I'm right on top of each fold. Now there's 4 sections, but there's only 3 folds. So I put 3 marks, 1 on each fold. Now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to line this piece of paper up exactly with my big paper. And I'm going to put a little mark on the paper everywhere there's a mark on this strip of paper. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Okay, now I have 3 marks on both sides of the paper. There's 4 sections and 3 folds. So now what I'm going to do is take my ruler or my junk mail. If your junk mail is long enough, you can use that. I'm just going to use a ruler because I have it right here. I'm going to put my pencil on this mark, and then I can push the ruler up to that, and then I can look at the other mark and push the ruler until it touches that one. Just make sure it's touching both marks before you draw. Also hold your ruler down kind of in the middle, and then hold your pencil straight up and down so it doesn't slide underneath the ruler. And just don't let your ruler slide while you're drawing the line. And then you hold your pencil kind of against the ruler and draw your line. There. Then you're going to do the same thing again. Remember, don't draw your lines too dark. You're going to have to erase them later. All right, so now I have the long sides divided into 4 sections. Okay, now for the other side, this side, I need my other piece of paper. Now this other piece of paper, it's the same size as the long side of the paper, but it's too long for the short sides. You see, I have to cut this part off. So I'm just gonna, line up the junk mail with the side of the paper and just draw a line right there. And that shows, now see, if I cut that off, that's going to be exactly the same size as this end of the paper. You can cut that off with scissors, just chop, chop. Or you could take your ruler and put it exactly on that line. Hold the ruler down tight, and then you can just tear this off, and you have a nice even tear because the ruler was there. All right, so now this paper is the same size as that side of the paper, and I'm going to fold this in half again. Exactly in half. Pinch the folded end. Maybe even do this. And then fold it in half one more time. You're going to fold the piece of paper 2 times. And 2 times is going to give you those 4 sections again. 4 sections, but 3 folds. And there you go. Okay. Don't forget to mark the folds with a pencil so you can see them better. And then I'm just going to line this up and put marks on the paper. Okay, and now I can connect those with my ruler. Now, if all you're using is a piece of junk mail, this might not reach all the way across. So what you can do, if that happens, you can take this and mark the center line as well, if you need to, if you don't have a long enough ruler. So I use this again. And when you make these marks, make sure that that's touching both. It's even with both sides. My paper's a little bigger on the side. Oops. But anyway, now if all you have is a junk mail, again, put your pencil right on the mark, push the junk mail up against it, and then rotate the other end until it touches the mark. Hold the pencil vertical, hold it down, hold the junk mail down hard, and just draw your line. And then you can do the second part the same way. Just match up the incomplete line like that. I'm just going to finish up with a ruler because it's just faster. Your ruler would obviously have to be 12 inches long in order to do this. On these boxes. Okay. Anyway, there's your grid. So this grid matches this grid, 4 boxes by 4 boxes, and they're all in the same proportion. So that's how you get a grid on your paper.